It's the end of the school year and your classroom looks like a tornado hit it. You got papers that you either graded or didn't grade from January, old crusty and dusty expo markers sitting on the desk, and after teaching all boys for so long, there's a weird smell coming from the corner over there that I don't even want to investigate. This is that time of year where you have one foot firmly placed in summer break already and the other firmly placed in some kind of chaos. But before you rush out the door, let me show you a system that I use that's going to reset your classroom with intention and not overwhelm. Let's go. End of the year burnout is real, which is why most teachers just take like all their stuff from their classroom and chuck it into a closet until they have to come back on August 1st. And I've been there, but I hate that feeling of coming back into my room and feeling like I have to deal with all of like last year's nonsense instead of just being able to move fresh into this year. So in this video, I want to show you my 3-step process on how you can just move into your space and reset it with purpose and not just being reactive to everything this time of the year. On the front end, I want to let you know that if you need more help than this video offers today, there is an entire resource that I created called the Classroom Cleanout Challenge. It takes this stressful activity and helps you and your students to find a fun and easy way to walk through step by step every single step of this process. It has printables and all kinds of cool stuff. It's linked in the description below if you need it. But now on to tip 1. Zone it before you touch anything. It is very easy, and I've learned the hard way, that if I'm trying to clean up a particular area, I have all these papers on my desks and things that need to go different places, to different rooms, to the office, to the admin, and I start making piles on my desk, it becomes problematic because my desk isn't big enough for all the stuff on it. So instead, I create zones. So what I suggest you do is map out your room and create 5 to 7 different functional zones. So you're gonna have the teaching zone, a student supply area, a student supply zone, a student work zone, a space for displays and anything that goes on your walls in your classroom, stuff that needs to go into a storage closet, stuff that is tech related, and so on and so forth. Now this gives you a strategy instead of winging it, because what you're gonna do then is something that I refer to as rigging it to win, which means you're gonna give yourself 1 to 2 tasks per zone. That's it. Any more than that and you start feeling overwhelmed, like a to-do list that you have that's 95 things long. Once those things are organized into their zone, you're gonna have 1 to 2 tasks per zone. So if we're talking about your teacher desk, one might be clean out your drawers and the other one is to wipe surfaces down. So I'm weird and I like to clean out my whole desk every year. I like to wipe down the whole inside of it because it gets all kinds of weird stuff in there, like erasures, tips from pencils, a random sticker that I don't even remember buying that sticker pack before, but it's in there along with all kinds of other weird crap. But if I can clean it out, zone all that stuff, and then wipe it out, man, I feel so much better. In a similar fashion, if you have a student supply zone, these are supplies that you're not giving to students. These are things that are staying in your classroom, from paper clips, staples, crayons, colored pencils, glue sticks, all that kind of stuff. You split that into 2 tasks. One task is going to be to sort it into stuff I'm keeping and stuff that I'm donating. Stuff you donate is, my friend Kate, the sleepy teacher, years ago had students bring in glue sticks, and she had probably hundreds of them. And I remember I visited her school in San Diego. She opened this cabinet and it looked like she had more glue sticks than Staples did. And she's like, I have glue sticks for the rest of my life. You don't need all that space being taken up by this one product. So find someone else in your school that might need them. Find someone else that maybe you can trade them with. But I'm getting ahead of myself. That's further down the line. So you're gonna have this 2 different piles, what I'm keeping and what I'm going to give away or donate to someone else. And then task 2 is to refill and relabel all of your bins that you keep this stuff in your classroom. Tip number 2, let students lead the cleanup game. This should not be a process that you do alone. If you have a trusted group of kids, this doesn't have to be every period that you're doing it with, but that one period that you have, or that one group of kids that maybe they come in during lunch. Maybe you do it during their, one of their last class periods together. Maybe this is something that they come in after school and help you with permission from parents. But you're doing it with a trusted group, and I'm telling you, this is fun. And it takes so much work off your plate because you're delegating it to people that love having it delegated to them. So I turn this into either a number of different jobs or sometimes a competition, especially if I have a particularly competitive group of dudes. I will divvy up different projects or different activities. So I might have a supply sorter, someone who's in charge of recycling, someone who's pulling posters off the wall or taking down bulletin boards, and someone who's like my wipe down wizard who's gonna disinfect and wipe down everything so that's ready for next year. Because you all know, pro tip, new teachers, if you leave that expo marker writing on your whiteboard for the summer, it's not coming off in the fall. So then, like I said, I gamify this. I assign teams, I give time limits, I play music, and sometimes I even give out silly awards, like the Golden Windex Award. What kid wouldn't want that, and what parent wouldn't be confused when it comes home? And to be honest, kids are going to be more likely to respect your room next year if they help you reset it this year. They will look after your room when other students are in there. They will let it be known, and your respect sort of becomes legendary. You start living by your reputation because the older students will let the younger students know, you don't play around in Mr. Reynolds' room. You don't mess stuff up. Yo, keep it clean in here. We were the ones that reset and did all of this stuff last year. Y'all better keep it nice in here. Henry Wong has a book on classroom management. He had this great quote in there that says, giving students responsibility increases motivation and ownership, especially when the tasks are real and visible. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Tip number 3, leave one thing unfinished on purpose. And this sounds counterintuitive and weird and like the opposite of what we're talking about here, but there's good reasoning behind this. I really want future me to win on day 1. So by leaving something undone in my classroom, right? Something, an easy bulletin board that has to get taken down. It is maybe, something done on my whiteboard, or it's certain labels that I need to redo. This gives me an easy win on day 1. And I took this idea from Ernest Hemingway, who apparently, from what I've read, Ernest Hemingway used to finish his writing every day by knowing exactly what he was going to write next, with the idea that when he showed up the following day to write, he didn't have to wonder where he was going to start. He would read that last paragraph or two, or maybe the last page of what he wrote, know exactly how he was going to jump into it, and that built momentum. So this is about building momentum for the beginning of the year, and that happens when we leave an easy task, maybe even something that you enjoy doing, left to do when you come back in at the beginning of the next year. Now, another fun thing to do here is to leave something up that's inspiring. Leave that undone and uncleaned up as well. So I used to have kids write notes on my whiteboard, and then, like I said, I found out that that stuff doesn't come off very easily the next year. So instead, I use those like giant poster board pieces of paper that adhere to my wall, or I'll adhere them to my whiteboard. And I have kids write notes at the end of the year, something that you're going to walk into the next year. And I leave them up there. I have them sign it at the end of the year. And when I come in on that first day, I sometimes remember that it's going to be up there. But more often than not, I do not remember anything that they read, or I'll purposefully not read it at the end of the year. So I am surprised by this joy, as C.S. Lewis says, in the beginning of the year. When I walk in, it's something that brings me back. It hones me in. Even if I'm a little bit hesitant to come back at the beginning of the year, this is something that reminds me and helps ground me in my purpose. Look, at the end of the school year, you can either leave tired and exhausted or feeling proud. One of the things I love to do is, as I'm on my way out of my classroom, I look back at it and I make sure and ask myself, is this what I want to walk into next year, or tomorrow, or on Monday? This isn't about creating a total overhaul of your room. It's about leaving it in better condition than it is now, with intention. And if you need help with the details, I got you. We created a resource, like I said in the beginning of this video, the Classroom Cleanup Challenge. It's downloadable. It has zone maps, checklists, setup templates, and creative ideas that you can use for one day in one period, or for a whole week of cleanup. It's on sale now for the low price of $5.99. You can find it in the description below. Here's a video that YouTube said, this is right for you. And something else that it put up here for sale also that I don't know what it is, because it decides. That's it for this time, gang. Peace.